For 3 weeks, San Jacinto Junior College in Houston, Texas hosted the best amateur baseball players in the country. There was a lot of baseball played on this field with a lot of talent on display, and today, during this show, we will break down the guys that made it to the main event, show you all the other rosters of the other events, and talk to you about those young men that are advancing in the series. Hello everyone, I'm Daniel Gotera. Great to talk with you all again, and welcome to the 2025 New Balance Future Star Series Showcase Special. Over the next 30 minutes to an hour, we're going to talk about the guys that made the main event, show you all the rosters, and break down their individual skill sets. And to help me do that, well, we're going to welcome in two guys that know a thing or two about baseball. One of these guys you know very well. Let's introduce them. First up, KHOU-TV in Houston Sports Director Jason Bristol, and the President and CEO of the New Balance Future Stars Series, Jeremy Booth. Gentlemen, good to see you guys. I was planning to be outside for this. You guys are inside the air-conditioned tent, but the Houston weather did not cooperate with us. Anyway, let's get to some of these guys. Let's talk about the captains and co-captains for the main event, two guys that really stood out and have been a part of this series for a long time. The big left-hander, RJ Cope, dual threat player, and another dual threat talent, Landon Brown from here in Texas. Jason and Jeremy, take it away. Break these guys down.
Well, without a doubt. And Jeremy, when we talk about Landon Brown and RJ Cope, upside has always been a word that you have used. You're looking at two guys who are being rewarded not just for their potential, but also what they mean to your program.
Yeah, RJ Cope's been here 4 years. Man, since he was 14 years old. Like a little nephew, he's
Jeremy, he's 6'8". He's not a little nephew.
Yeah, he's still little RJ to me, though. It's something with him where it just feels like full circle. And he's earned the right in his maturity as well as his presence here over time for that captain position. Landon Brown, man, boy, he came in here and blew the doors off last year. He's been nothing but a model of a human being. He's been an example on the field. He's been resilient. He is a legitimate two-way prospect, as is RJ. And he was our 2024 Player of the Year. And so being involved in these young men's lives is very gratifying for us as a group. But they earned this position, not just by their play, but by their character.
But because they are the captains of this event, let's dive into their future a little bit.
Sure.
Last year, you mentioned Landon Brown. You said Clay Buchholz type. Is that still holding true, or is he reminding you of anyone else now at this stage?
Well, what I didn't tell you last year, what I'll tell you now is third base, he reminds me a little bit of Scott Rowland. And both those guys are pretty good players.
Pretty good?
I still think the upside, Rowland might be a Hall of Famer. I think he might be.
He is a Hall of Famer.
So, the upside on these guys, as for Landon, certainly, as a pitcher is still higher. It's 93, 94. There's no effort to it. It's a breaking ball. It's a changeup. He's a strike thrower. But you can't deny the other side of what he does. It's what makes him so intriguing, and it's going to be fun to see where he settles. For me, it's still a pitcher, but he deserves an opportunity to hit.
Landon Brown, hit one of only 2 home runs during the National Combine right outside this door, and then Mississippi State commit. He's listed on our roster as a third baseman. Will he pitch in this game?
Yeah, he's going to pitch. Last year, it's going back to 2024, he was on our Underclass Elite, and he was in the main event as an underclassman. He pitched in Globe Life last year, and he pitched in Fenway Park last year. So he's kind of had a little bit of a run that's been pretty impressive. He will pitch in this game, in this event. Where, I don't know. He's definitely going to play some third base. And, Justin Parker, although he committed at Mississippi State as the pitching coach, although Landon committed for other reasons besides just Justin stayed back. I signed Justin. And so it's kind of like it's an interesting full circle moment for him, too. So I got one with RJ and I got one with Landon. It's going to be fun to watch them go through it.
And RJ, he was 91 last year, and I think he was up to 95 at this year's National Combine. Is there more in there?
Yeah, he's David Price for me. We go back and forth.
And he's a Vanderbilt commit as well.
Which the relationship with Tim Corbin that we have had some help along with facilitating that relationship. But RJ could go anywhere he wanted in the country. He's a first-round type draft pick. I've seen him at 96, just a tick above 95. He lives 93, 94. That's plenty for where he's at. As he settles into, if he's a pitcher, every 5 days, it'll be 93, 95. That's where he's going to settle in with a breaking ball and a change up. And same thing we see every night in Dunkin or Fenway or everywhere else. So he fits. He belongs out there. His dad and I go back and forth a little bit. He's again about whether he's going to be a hitter. He's earned the right to hit. I still think it's David Price, and that's pretty good.
In other words, Daniel, these two guys are captains. They smell like big leaguers eventually down the line. Daniel, back to you.
Thank you, guys. Can't wait to see these guys compete inside Globe Life again. Now, let's find out who the other pitchers are going to be at the main event. A lineup full of guys that are both tall and can throw very fast. So here are their names and their hometowns. Jeremiah Bibby from Whites Creek, Tennessee. Collier Carroll from Calallen, Texas. Raylan Covey from Pinole, California. Brody Crane from Neosho. Sebastian Dimitrov from Fort Pierce, Florida. He was this series Pitcher of the Year last year. J.P. Harmon from Novato, California. Parker Hayes from Norman, Oklahoma. Jordan Johnson from Loganville, Georgia. Logan Kirby from Montoursville, Pennsylvania. Garner Rodriguez from Nacogdoches, Texas. Jenker Romero from Statesboro, Georgia. Frankie Russo from Pompano Beach, Florida. Madden Tatum from Bono, Arkansas. Caleb Trugman from Upland, California. Hudson Tooley from Abilene, Texas. And Davis Zunker from San Antonio, Texas. So guys, that's a pretty stock lineup. Not only are they a commanding presence on the mound, but they've got some big powerful arms as well. Jason and Jeremy, why don't you break it down?
Well, without a doubt, you have power arms, but also guys who I think that as they mature at the next level, wherever that may be, there's a lot inside of some of these guys that's untapped. So let's start with Davis Zunker, again from San Antonio. He, of course, also has history, and he's played in big league ballparks before. He was at Fenway Park.
Yeah, he was with us last year. We've had Davis for a couple of years. The thing about Davis is interesting. He's so projectable. There's a lot of upside there. It is a now breaking ball. The velocity is a little bit behind some of the other pitchers in his class, but this is about tomorrow. It's not about today, not just today. And Davis can compete, strike thrower. He has some feel for command, which for a longer levered guy is unusual, right? But he can spin it. He can rotate it. He has some change up and some field to use both sides of the plate. So he's earned his spot in this event again.
How about Hudson Tooley? He's a very unique story in some ways because he came here to the National Combine uncommitted, and he leaves essentially with a commitment. You're talking a left-hander. He was the 88-91 here, and now he has a home at McLennan.
Yeah, Huddy, I call him Huddy Tooley. Hudson
Why
Tooley.
wouldn't you? Of course you would.
Huddy is one of my favorites, and that's not against anybody else that we're talking about because I love all these guys. But Huddy can really, really pitch. And we had him since we had him as a sophomore. We had him in sophomore. He's been able to really establish his fastball early, whether it's been 80-83 or 89-92. I've seen better than 91, couple of bolts, 92, 193, although I didn't tell him that. I kept that in my pocket because I didn't want him trying to find it all the time. He walked out, he got on the mound, and everybody walked out of here talking about the breaking ball. It might have been the best breaking ball. Matter of fact, I'll go this far. You take that breaking ball and you go down the street to Daikin, and it plays just fine right now. It is a plus pitch today. He has average velocity, which he'll settle into in the future, but it's a command and control guy that, provided how much he fills out, a little bit of Andrew Haney type in him and can settle in the middle of the rotation.
Caleb Trugman, UC Santa Barbara commit. He told Daniel Gotera here at the National Combine that good luck if you're hitting against me. Here's a guy that picked up baseball a little later than I think a lot of players did, but projectable is definitely screaming from him.
Yeah, so, Caleb, another 30-year guy, right? Worked his way through. He's been to, by his own account, he's been to Vanderbilt. He's been to Houston. He's been to Fenway Park. He's been to the Dominican Republic in the Caribbean Classic. Like, he's bounced around everything that we've asked him to do to continue to move his game forward. One of the more cerebral guys that we know. Oddly, I went to high school with his dad. And, Darius said, hey, I got something. I think he might be good. I said, well, let's take a look. Sure enough, Brandon McCarthy all over again. 6'6", execution, fastball life, pitches in and out of the strike zone, and it's just continued to progress. He probably settles in at the end of the day at 94, 95 when he adds real strength. You're talking about a guy that you could put on a basketball court right now in any place in college basketball and looks the part, as well as looking the baseball part as well. So Brandon McCarthy, for me, was pitched for quite a long time.
Certainly one of the high-profile guys in this event is Jenker Romero. He was part of last year's main event, low 90s at that time, 2 projectable breaking balls. You gave me an Irvin Santana comp last season. He recently committed to Oklahoma. How much has Jenker improved?
Jenker has improved dramatically when it comes to his endurance and stability. Last year with Jenker, which was the first year we had him, in Fenway Park, he was better. As the year went on into Globe Life, which was only a few weeks later, it wasn't as crisp. It wasn't as effective. And that's only because of fatigue. Now, part of that's age. Part of that is buildup. Part of that is nutrition. Any number of things that go into a young player's endurance and stability on the field. But over the last 12 months, he's addressed it. He showed up here at camp, if you will, ready to go. I saw him in February in Georgia Premier down in Statesboro, Georgia, and he was ready to go. And he continues to move ahead with everything he's done. He's just had a wonderful performance in a couple of very high-profile events since leaving here. And having him back in Globe Life, Irvin Santana, as good as Irvin was, it's the part, and it might be a little more.
One player of 2 players in this event with brothers playing professional baseball, Garner Rodriguez, the younger brother of Grayson. Now, Grayson, elite talent. Give us a scouting report on what you're expecting from Garner.
Who's Grayson Rodriguez?
He was a first-round pick of the Orioles, if you forgot.
Trying to remember where I would have seen him before. Anyway.
It has been 8 years, I think.
Has it? No. I thought I saw him in Minute Maid Park before it was renamed to Dunkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I see him there? Okay. In any event, Grayson Rodriguez is a pitcher for the Orioles. His brother, Garner, is a basketball player first. Another one of this. And, as we're talking through this, I'm kind of remembering all the heights these guys walking by.
Yeah.
I think it's NBA. It might be University of Houston. I don't know if we're going to go. There's a lot of big dudes.
You could feel the basketball team.
It's a lot of dudes. But Garner is a basketball player first who's really starting to evolve into baseball. First time I've said this publicly, I did say it to him. He's got some power. He has some athleticism around the bag at first base. But just like his brother, Garner Rodriguez is going to be a pitcher. It's a good arm. Right now, it'll be a great arm when he adds some strength. It's a higher metabolism guy than his brother. Grayson was a little bit thicker, a little softer at the same stage. Garner's rail. He's got some, natural growth that's already happened a little bit since I saw him in June over the summer, and which is hard to do when you're playing summer baseball in Texas. But it's 91, 92. It's a feel for a changeup. It's an idea of a breaking ball. Delivery works.
Let's hit a couple of more pitchers now. Parker Hayes, Norman, Oklahoma, 6'6", mid to high 80s. So certainly there is more in there. But there are very few players, Jeremy, that make you look small or short, because there is a great photo on X of you two together. And Jeremy, he's much taller than you.
Yeah, you look at Parker Hayes, you look at Caleb Trugman, who's taller than I am at almost 6'6". He says he's 6'4". He's not. He's taller like this. You look at RJ Cope, who's 6'11". You look at some of these guys who are just huge, and Parker Hayes seems to fit with the theme, right? So he's out there in the mound. It was more 87, 88. Also, somebody needs some strength, some maturity, but a strike thrower, a changeup, a breaking ball. And as somebody in the scouting world, you say, man, I can dream on this guy. I can really dream on what he is. And Parker embodies that. Now, again, focus, compete, athleticism, long levers, a lot to channel, and just coming into his own. So a fun guy to scout and a fun guy to see.
So many power arms and guys who are certainly projectable. How about Brody Crane? Arkansas commit up to 94 at the combine.
So I was waiting for that one. Okay, because Brody Crane reminds me of a guy I grew up playing against a little bit. He was a different part of Southern California, and he had a pretty good big league career until injuries got to him, and that is a guy named Jarrett Wright. Jarrett Wright was a 10th pick in the draft by the then Cleveland Indians.
Father played in the bigs.
Yes, 1994 with the Rangers, I believe. Clyde Wright was who he played with. Anyway, Jarrett, 10th pick in the draft in 1994, was a UCLA commit. That's exactly my age, and that's my era. It was 95, somewhat straight. Sorry, Jay. Somewhat straight, but had some extra hop and could manipulate it when he wanted to. But he threw a ton of strikes. He dominated bats. It was a heavy ball. It was a breaking ball. He hit all the same things. And the body that Brody Crane has is very similar. Brody Crane's best fastball this summer has been up to 8. So up to 98 miles an hour. I believe it. He's one of that part of that contingent that flew here directly from Cary and USA baseball trials to make sure they got into this, which included RJ Cope, included Brody and Cole Prosek, and even a hitter we'll talk about later in Easton Autry. So That those guys got on the flight and made sure they got here, got up in the morning. Brody went out, was 94, 95, kind of sat 93, and was every bit as dominant as he should be.
Woo! Guns will be out in more ways than one. So that's a look at the pitchers. Daniel, man, there are some great arms in this event.
Thank you, Jeremy and Jason, or should I say J and J? I'm not sure if that's going to really stick for now, but we'll go with it. Maybe I'll throw it in every now and then. Okay, let's talk catchers, a position that's very important to Jeremy, given that he played, and he works hand in hand with these guys. But before revealing who the guys are that are going to be on the main event roster, I want you to hear Jeremy talk to the catchers. He's talking to the 27 class here from the National Combine at San Jacinto College. Take a look at what he said and just listen to the way he talks to these guys.
The more we do this, the harder we make it to catch the ball. Okay, somebody decided to give you mobility back that you need to, that's what it's for. Start low and work up. We talk about working up through the ball, right? Okay. Get your glove into a position where you have to, and then just anticipate and catch. You're the only guy on the field besides him that knows what's coming and where. Maybe the middle infielders do, maybe, if they're smart enough with a team like in high school or a real baseball team, and I mean that in one that actually puts that stuff in, they'll put those things in, whether it's travel, high school, college, it doesn't matter. Infielders do that, they'll know where it's going, okay? But outside of that, in this type of environment, they have no idea. It's just you. So if you have that advantage and he knows where it's going, then you just need to be in a general position to help enhance the umpire and have a little flexibility. The more further down you are to come up, the harder it is for everybody on the field. Even that, as opposed to the one knee, is baffling to me because you're not fooling anybody. The one knee, at least kind of get why they do it. I get the reasoning. I don't necessarily agree with it all the time, but I get why they do it. That's one I don't understand. And you'll never find a pitcher at all who will tell you they like it.
All right, pretty cool stuff there from Jeremy. Now let's get to the names for the main event. Aiden Asher from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Jack Brenner from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. John Dolan from Huffman, Texas. Keaton Mathis from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Christian Ray Olivares from Corpus Christi, Texas. And Diego Rivera from Cialis, Puerto Rico. Jason, an international group to discuss. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Without a doubt, and if there's any position which Jeremy Booth knows, it's catcher, having played it as a pro and now developing the next wave. I think we should probably start with Aiden Asher because he is returning to the main event. How has he improved in the last year?
Aiden's got a lot more physical. He's repeats his swing better. He's running better. The overall athlete's improved, but the execution and the game functions really changed. A year ago, he was projectable. He's still projectable. It's just more of what you think he's going to become. As a left-hand hitting catcher with that type of athleticism and throw, you're looking at something that has some real value in the future. It'll be college first, but it's real value.
How about Jack Brenner, Kent State commit from Wisconsin?
Yeah, this guy came in here, and I had expectations of, I'm going to get an upper Midwest kid that is athletic and is going to be able to execute, but we'll see.
Okay.
So that's what you usually get. You find guys up there that are a little bit behind because of the weather. They have to play themselves into it. That's changed a little bit, and this guy's what I'm thinking.
They need more polish.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a good way to put it with the polish. I'm thinking that before I see him.
Someone call it.
And then he gets here, and it's like hard contact and throwing guys out and receiving, and the makeup might be 100 on a scale of 1 to 10. Like it's an exceptional kid. And then he goes out in our athletic testing, and he runs a 6.3. And I don't know that anybody believed it. We kind of thought it was a 6. He might run a 6.5. He ran a 6.3 on 3 different watches, and it's hand timed. Which for those people who out there who watch other groups that do lasers, you can cheat lasers. You wear track shoes. You can load up to the line. You can't cheat a hand time because it goes on the first movement. And this is a slow track out here. We ran a San Jack where we're sitting right now. And San Jack has a slow outfield grass track, and this kid ran a 6.3 too. I started having visions in my head of Craig Biggio.
I was just about to ask that. Is a position change coming?
The answer to that is never, and I hesitate.
Never say never.
Yeah, I hesitate with that because catch is such a premium position. But the only thing I could come up with, Jason, was Craig Biggio. Because Biggio was drafted as a catcher out of Seton Hall, gets to the Astros organization, And whether it was because they had other catchers, like I think Alan Ashby was there at the time, or whether it was because the athlete was so good, he finds himself as a Hall of Fame second baseman. Played the outfield for a little bit at the end, but he came up as a catcher, and I'm just like, what do we got here? Hard contact, excellent work ethic, 70 athleticism on a scale of 20 to 80, and again, a phenomenal kid. So I'm excited for him. He's one of the biggest surprises, and in scouting, we call that fun because we don't know what they are, and they show up, and he's not recycled. He's not somebody we've seen again and again. He's a guy that is just fresh on the scene, and I'm excited to be part of that.
Here's a kid that has been seen, obviously and arguably one of the top players in the state of Texas. That is Christian Olivares, who's a USC commit.
Yep.
You've had him National Combine, obviously, Underclass Elite in Fenway.
Yep.
Who does he remind you of?
So he's a fun one, too, because he reminds me of himself. Like sometimes players, they break their own mold, and that's who they become. Christian, we had in that last year's national tournament. We've had him in a regional.
Yep.
We had him in this year's national tournament. We've had him in 2 summer combines and, of course, Underclass Elite. So he's kind of made the rounds a little bit, too. Really catch and throw, underappreciated, California-type player. You know, he executes. It's not overly sexy with the tools. USC, you got Andy Stankiewicz. You got Travis Jewett. You got Andy Jenkins. You got Sergio Brown, all guys that I've got history with. I had zero to do with him committing to USC, but it doesn't surprise me that those guys would be on him, right? It doesn't surprise me they would recognize what they're looking at because he's a 1.9 glove-to-glove pop time in games. All this overblown stuff we see in showcases, 1.7. Oh, this guy was a 1.3 glove-to-glove. No, Christian Olivares is a plus catch and throw guy in the game, and he's a plus bat with plus power. There's a lot of pluses in the box for him. So I'm excited to see what he does in Globe Life this time around.
Also, John Dolan, Keaton Mathis, Diego Rivera.
Yeah.
Give me a quick sentence or two on each of them.
Dolan's a catch and throw guy. He's a leadership guy, grown into his own, bigger body kid, projects stick at the position. Rivera is an athletic upside player out of Puerto Rico. It's going to be fun to see what happens. He can consistent contact, he can receive, and he can throw. There's a little bit of flash in a good way, but it's in there. And he's going to have to go ahead and tone that down just a little bit, depending on who's on the mound. Not taking away who he is because we love him, but he's going to, as far as he's concerned, that's what's ahead of him. And then you said the 6th catcher, who's we got? Because we have a loaded roster. Who's the 6th guy?
Keaton Mathis.
Keaton Mathis is a kid who came in here, was very quiet, and emerged as one of the leaders of the event.
Arkansas State commit.
I'm excited to see what he can do on that stage. He's earned every opportunity to be there. Another consistent contact catch and throw guy. And I should pause here, Jason. I should tell you and point out to people watching that signing out of high school as a catcher is very tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the way the game shifted. It wasn't that way, say, back in 1994 when Pat Murphy and the Houston Astros took Ramon Castro in the first round, the 17th pick. But I can say that when it comes today, it's just harder to do. They come out of college. They come off the islands a little bit. The Latin America, not Latin America, the analytic influence is different. So these guys are all prospects. They're probably college first in many cases just because of how the position is scouted. But this might be the best group of catchers we've had.
And that's saying something, given how many games this guy played behind the plate in professional baseball. So, Daniel, those are the catchers, and they are leaders, as we all know.
Thank you very much, Jason and Jeremy. We'll head back to you guys inside the San Jacinto Ravens clubhouse in a few minutes. But before we tell you about the infielders and outfielders, let's hear a message from our presenting sponsor, New Balance.
Hey, hey, hey. What you got to say? Say hey, hey, hey. What you got
New Balance, we got now.
Thank you, as always, to the folks at New Balance for all the stuff that they do for this Future Stars series. All right, let's get to the infielders, another talented group, very wide range of skill sets within this particular set of players. Let's get to the names. At first base, Graham Charbonneau from Kingwood, Texas. He won a state title with the Mustangs here in Texas this past year. R.J. Cope, we talked about him already. He also plays first base. John Lindsay III out of Mississippi, son of former big leaguer John Lindsay. And Hunter Lynch, the other guy at first base, big man out of California, hit a home run during the combine. At second base, Avery Bell from Spring, Texas. Marcus Cantu from Friendswood, Texas. Jace Dardar from Georgia. and Cole Prasek from Senatobia, Mississippi. At shortstop, Thomas Glenn from Paso Robles, California, Cam Jackson from Georgia, Devin Miller from Boonville, Mississippi, Dominic Pellegrin from Metairie, Louisiana, and Devin Simonton from Antioch, California. And rounding out the infield at third base, Easton Autry, the University of Texas commit from Corsicana, Texas. Landon Brown, we mentioned him earlier. Zij Mina from north of the border, Ontario, Canada. Isaac Torres from Converse, Texas. And John Cade Ziegler from Louisiana. Okay, lots of names to go through. I'll let you guys, Jason and Jeremy, take it from there.
Jeremy, is this the deepest group of infielders you've had?
Yeah, Jason, it was really difficult to pare this down. The whole organization, I should say, as we're talking about the main event, but all the signature events are being released. I got to tell you, it's the deepest we've been yet. It's the best we've been staff-wise. It's the best we've been player-wise. It's the highest we've been talent-wise. It feels good to be here. It hasn't always been that way. It feels good to be here now. And I can say that when you look at this group of infielders, you've got guys that compare to Marcus Semien. You have guys that compare to Anthony Rendon when he loved baseball. You have guys that compare, across the board to different players. You can put Fernando Vina, a Colton Wong. There's guys out there that compare in every position. It's a lot of fun to see how this is going.
Anthony, my apologies. All right, let's do this.
I'm not sorry.
All right, let's do this. Random. I'm just going to pick names at random. How about Hunter Lynch, who homered at the National Combine? And I think what really impressed you, 6'3", 230 from California. He arrived for the Combine, 4 or 5 days early?
Yeah, Hunter's an interesting story. Hunter, I think, has been here 4 years now. Certainly been here 3. He is personally one of my favorites. I mean, again, the family's a great family to us, and Hunter's been great here. Been fun to be around. Good clubhouse guy. But Hunter works harder than most people will give him credit for. And interesting, the backstory on Hunter is that he missed his high school season this year. He transferred. Somebody decided to blow the whistle somehow, somewhere. Not that it was, and it just seemed to be the CIF, the California Interscholastic Federation, decided to side with this other school where he left. Misses a year. He goes out at my suggestion and plays men's league baseball. In California, men's league baseball is a lot of ex-pros, a lot of ex-college guys. It's not, people like in our bracket, it's guys that are just out. They're playing. So he goes out and plays against those guys and probably has better at-bats, at least as far as how the game's played, than he would as a high school junior. Flash forward to summer, goes to play with his organization, NorCal, which is one of the best organizations in the industry, as well as somebody who has been very supportive of us. And he keeps wanting to work out. Hey, when can I work out? When can I come see you? When can I do that? So finally, I find, yeah, man, come on out early. Come on out. So he shows up 4 to 5 days early, and Robbie Mullen, Jeff Edwards, and I put some time in with the cage with him where it became very much about Hunter, and then Landon Brown joined him, putting his own time in to get better. And it happened to show up the work he's put in all spring, as well as some of the early time here in the summer, in the Combine.
One of the kids who is certainly very high profile is Graham Charbonneau from Kingwood, Baylor commit, high school All-American, also a member of a state championship team here in the state of Texas. Give us what you got on Graham.
Yeah, he, a kid that I'm learning more and more about, but it's an offensive player with defensive versatility. It's corner only for sure, but right field, left field, has enough arm to play both. First base, he's good around the bag. I struggled immediately, and this is in no way. I'll stop here before I give this comparison. When I give a comparison to a major league player, I'm not downing the major league player.
No.
It's more of a props to the kid.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when we think about a fringe major leaguer, we kind of sound like we're down in the guy, and we're not doing that. The major leaguer's career is what it is. The fact that I can project him to be a big leaguer of any kind is a very positive thing. This guy reminded me a little bit of Chris Johnson, former Astro, former Brave, had a couple good years in there, wasn't a star. But a lot of that, this kid has a better approach with. And he may, as he continues to go on, certainly if he ends up at Baylor, corner guys, much being like catchers, have a hard time not going to college first. It may end up something where you look up this guy's second rounder in a couple years and gets his way to the big leagues pretty quick.
Here's someone with big league bloodlines. That is John Lindsay III. His dad played pro ball from 95 to 2016. He had 11 games with the Dodgers back in 2010. He's a UAB commit, but this kid's got some personality along with the bat, huh?
Yeah, John Lindsay III and I have a very interesting relationship. And it goes back to when John Lindsay Jr. and I, or the second, played against each other. We have a long time where Big John, his dad, and I was a lot of fun. I remember, just like now, a lot of smile on his face, happy and joking around, just happy to be there, grinding it out. And when I knew I was old, frankly, was when I was scouting John II when he was playing for the Dodgers, and they were here in Houston with the Astros. I've had some moments in my career where I've scouted people I played against or knew. When I scouted Ben Sheets, and I had to go make a decision for the Brewers. That was interesting. When I had to go, see he was no different. So, but John III has every bit of the resilience his dad does. He listens, he learns. John II has now come on staff, and he's so much fun to be around. This kid, that everything he does is infectious. It's a lot of power. It's first base only. He'll argue with me because he wants to catch. That's great. I wanted to run a 6.5, didn't happen. But he's going to go ahead and he's going to be a first baseman with power. But it really is an infectious personality that changes the clubhouse he's in.
Up the middle, let's talk about Cam Jackson. Here's a kid who roughly 2 weeks ago committed to the University of Oklahoma, left-handed hitter. He's got some spark on him.
Yeah, Cam Jackson actually committed at this event. Well, I take that back. He went from here to Oklahoma to his visit and have that event. University of Oklahoma, we do this in scouting. We don't like to say where people are, but I give Oklahoma credit. Keep in mind, Skip Johnson and Todd Butler and the staff they have up there. Obviously, Reggie Willits is on that staff as well. They sat here, and they didn't move for like 3 days. They sat here the entire time, and then they left on Thursday to go to whatever the next event was, and Cam stayed here to play in that day 4 we had, and then he went up to Oklahoma and committed up there. Cam is electric with what he does. We had him a couple years ago. He was a lot of fun. It's good to have him back. He's a yes sir, no sir. He's a compete. He plays shortstop. He can play both sides of the bag. He's a better version, and I know the dad, so he's got to play a long time as a fringe guy. He's a better version of Nico Goodrum, who was a second rounder years ago that we had out of Atlanta. But Cam lives in Georgia. But played here in Houston area for the summer, and he's going to be good. Where he goes, second round, maybe back to the first round. It's that type of upside. Depends on who wants to buy in on it. But plus makeup for him, plus defender, 60 arm, and can flat out rake. So it's a lot of fun to see him.
Now let's talk power. Easton Autry, UT commit. He was at an event at Globe Life Field and hit a ball 544 feet. That's pretty far. Easton Autry, what else about him intrigues you other than power? Because power, he screams power. Power is a given.
So I'm glad you said that, because when you look at Easton Autry, the first thing you think of, and I'm going to pause and say these aren't my words. These are the words of a major league scout who was here when we were talking about players. I will also tell you something I don't say often, but I'm just in that giving mood this time today, is that here, when the scouts are around and the clubs are around, we absolutely consult what they think. I want to hear what they know, their background, no different than when they're talking to me about players they may select. They don't tell me who to take. They'll recommend, just on their side. I'm not telling you who to take, but I'm going to recommend, and they'll listen, and it's all clubs. With Easton Autry, the scout, who's going to remain nameless for confidentiality, said, when you talk to Easton or when you look at him, the first thing you think of is he's a banger. He's a big power guy. It's going to grip and rip, hit the ball 9 miles. And then you talk to him. And I had the same experience before the scout and I had this conversation. Professional hitter, cerebral about his approach, hustles. There isn't a second of quit in him. This guy, as much as anybody I've run across ever, is made to be a Major League Baseball player. Now, the things he has inside, you can't teach. His dad, Heath, is a longtime baseball coach in the state of Texas and at the collegiate level, as well as coached many major leaguers. High school coach as we stand today, and a good one. I'll say this kid, when we walked in here with that same USA contingent, we talked about the barrel, we talked about how to make contact, we talked about a number of things about how to hit, and I watched him nod his head. And with players like that who have such a background, they test you.
Yeah.
They're not going to just go ahead and take what you have to say. He's testing me, man. He's like, I'm here, and I want to be in this event, and I want to be what's going on, but he's testing me. And when you have that type of awareness and you have that type of quiet confidence to be able to test the people around you and not be afraid of it, that's when you know you got a big league. Because he's going to ask the right questions and he's going to go out and do it. And this kid is about as impressive as anybody I've run across.
And the other prospect with a brother currently playing professional baseball, that is Isaac Torres. His brother Javi is a pitcher in the Guardians organization. Texas Angels, and he's uncommitted at this point.
Yeah, he's Rendon when he liked baseball. That's what we thought. That's the guy. That's him. And so he can, he does everything that you can think of. Where Isaac gets in a little bit of trouble, and I know he's going to watch this, so I'm going to say this now publicly because I've been telling you this privately for 3 years.
Okay.
You get into trouble when you try to hit the ball in the air. You don't have to. Hit through the ball, hit line drives. You've got plus power already.
It will come.
And he's got plus hand-eye coordination, and he's might be a 70-grade defender right now with an arm. He'll pick it up, he'll holler at you a little bit, throw it across. I got it, bang. And he's just fun to do that with. In the box, he's a presence. When he trusts himself, he makes any stadium, including Fenway Park, look small. And it's no different now. Different than his brother Javi, who we had, who was a pitcher in the Guardians organization. Isaac can play every day as a third baseman. Again, somebody that is a little bit hidden out, somebody that we've had on this that's starting to make a lot of noise now, as far as being recognized with what he does. But I'd put this guy up against anybody. He's as good a player as anybody we've had, and where he goes from here is going to be fun to see.
All right, so Daniel, what a matchup it's going to be. These bats against those arms, which we already talked about. It is going to be fun at that main event.
Thank you, gentlemen. We might have to ask Easton about that 500-plus foot home run that he hit at Globe Life when we see him again up there in Arlington. Now, let's get to the outfielders. Last but not least, a very talented group that's going to be roaming the outfield there at Globe Life in Arlington. Here are the names. Starting with Noah Arkell from Ontario, Canada, Tredrick Barnes from Taylorsville, Mississippi, Logan D'Amico from Waxhaw, North Carolina, Eric Del Carmen from Georgia, Christian Doty from Olive Branch, Mississippi, Tommy Georgelos from Western Springs, Illinois, Bryson Harris, another young man from Georgia, this time Grayson, Georgia, Ty Jones from Braden, Mississippi, Oscar Leah from Maple Ridge, British Columbia up in Canada, Drayton Mitchell from Calallen, Texas, Logan Auer from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Adam Placencia from California, Ryan Ruggiero from Stowe, Massachusetts, Reese Rusher from Calallen, Texas, and finally Isaac Valencia from the Valley of the Sun over in Arizona. Okay, our final group to break down some more names, some more guys that made a name for themselves, not only at this combine, but throughout their time as part of the series. Jason and Jeremy, back to you.
And here's the thing about outfield play. You can have power bats. You can have guys who get on base and set the table. You have guys who can steal bases. I imagine this group encompasses all of that.
Yeah, it was a fun group to put together, as was this entire event. But this one has what we call 80-grade runners. This one has
80-grade runners.
There's 70-grade power in this. There's 70-grade arms. And when you're looking at players as a whole, we talk carrying tools. What's going to carry a guy? And there's some hidden gems here, to borrow a phrase of an advisor that mentioned something to me yesterday. Some hidden gems in what we've got, and some guys that are on the national scene, which is always the best mix. It's an interesting group. It was a lot of fun.
Picking random names right now. Let's do Logan D'Amico, Wake Forest commit.
Yeah, Logan D'Amico comes to us from North Carolina. And I don't get phone calls from this particular group very often about players.
Okay.
This player came to me from the Dirtbags, which is Andy Parton and Trey Daly. And Trey says to me, I got a guy. What do you got? Because you don't ever say that unless you got a guy.
Unless you have a guy.
He never does that.
Don't say, I got a guy.
He says, I got a guy. He said, you're going to love it. It's made for you. So Logan gets here, and he's playing in another event ahead of time. His mom and him, they bust their tail. They get here the night before. He's here for the last 3 days or last 2 days of the event. And it's a 60 runner. It's a 70 arm. It's 94 on the mound. It's a breaking ball.
It's 94 on the mound?
94.
And we have him listed as an outfielder.
He's going to do both.
Okay.
But it's 94 on the mound. He's got average power, and he's got average hitability. And you're going, this guy projects as a center fielder. He projects as he does not. We'll put him in the infield a little bit, just see because he did it once upon a time. See what he's got. But it's a front rotation package as a starter, and he can play center field every day if you really dream on it. So this guy is really somebody that's kind of walking around in plain sight that a lot of other people, for whatever reason, like but didn't love. We love him. And so we can't wait to have him and put him out there and watch him run around Globe Life.
All right, so there's a Wake Forest commit. Let's now move to the SEC and Christian Doty. He's committed to Ole Miss. What kind of package does he bring to the table?
So I say this, and I say this gently. Man crush on Christian Doty. Christian Doty is one of those guys, when you watch him walk around, you're like, who's that guy? Now, it's not because he's 6'6" or 6'8", like some of the other, large humans we have on this roster. It's because of the immediate commanding presence he has when he's in the ballpark. He hustles, he competes, he's a good player. He might have 60 power. It's 60 arm. It's a 60 run. I mean, everything you like. Can he do that? Yep. Can he do that? Yep. Can he do that? Yep. And he starts checking all the boxes. And then the guy's played with a broken jaw.
Wait, what?
A broken jaw. So here, these kids don't know each other very often, right? And you've got another outfielder that we'll talk about, I'm sure, Logan Auer, who's out there playing left field for the Navy team.
Okay.
And you've got Christian Doty, who's playing center field for the Navy team. And
Collision.
Now, Christian, I want to say is about 6'1", maybe 6'1", and Logan's probably about 5'10". Logan will tell you he's 6'3", but he's about 5'10", okay? And so Logan and him collide, and Logan's dome kind of rattles Christian's jaw a little bit. Christian goes down, a little bit of blood, goes off, goes to the doctor, gets with his dad, recovers, right, in the clubhouse, starts having a little bit, and goes and does what he does, right? Goes and gets checked out like he should. Goes out to East Coast Pro, which is a scout run event in the Southeast.
Yep.
That's very high-end talent.
Yep.
And his dad says he had a broken jaw. He played. I don't know how many times I've seen that. I've seen guys with injuries and busted fingers, and we have some guys that'll miss, not us, but there's some guys out there that'll miss starts because they got, a hangnail. And this guy is out there with a broken jaw running around center field. Like, I'll take this guy all day. And so that's exactly what we did. We took him all day. He's going to Globe Life. He's going to play center field there. One of the more fun upside players that has now ability.
And we've already talked about one player who committed to McLennan from this event. And here's the second one, Ty Jones, 6'2", 200 or so, from Jackson Academy in Mississippi. He's coached by a former major leaguer in Corey Dickerson. He had a loud round of BP outside these four walls.
Hang on a minute. Corey Dickerson, left-hand hitter, that's his coach?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Newsflash.
Brandon High School. Okay. Ty Jones.
Jackson Academy.
Oh, is that what it is?
Jackson Academy.
Got it. Okay. He's from Brandon, Mississippi. That's what it is.
Okay.
Ty Jones. And my comparison for him was easy. It was made a couple of years ago, and we had him in the Underclass Premiere. You just met the guy in Cooperstown. It's Mike Cameron. Ooh. And Ty Jones, probably only because of who's around him, is going to end up in right field, but he can play center. And if you let him play center field, he's going to run around and catch the ball gap to gap. Cammy was an 80 defender. This guy's not quite an 80 defender, but the belief is in there that he's going to be a plus defender. It's 91, 92 from the mound, and it plays every bit as that way from right field, which is 70 arm. So where he ends up is going to be somewhere making an impact in the middle of the lineup, but it's Mike Cameron for me, and one of the better kids, one of the more fun personalities to be around.
I was in Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame inductions, and I ran into Mike Cameron, and they have a relationship, so I made sure to say hello just to give everything a bit of context. Yep. Also, moving on now, let's talk about Logan Auer, who unfortunately had that collision. He's a Massachusetts kid, and we talked about guys sometimes who may, because of where they play, the cold weather climates, may not be as refined as others. What about Logan?
Something I found out about Logan, I've had him 3 years, is that he's from Cape Cod. Like, I didn't know that. I'm actually embarrassed I didn't. I knew he was Massachusetts.
There's some pretty good baseball around there.
Yeah, and I thought a little bit of New Hampshire just because of the approach a little bit. And that's not a negative. It's just, it's what I thought. he's a Cape Cod kid. And sometimes down on the Cape, it can be tough to be seen because it's the Cape.
Mm-hmm.
And people, if you don't know Cape Cod and you get into the winter and the spring, it's a ghost town. There's not anybody down there.
Yep.
It's just the residents. It's a vacation area that has been in we'll call it a wealthy person's retreat.
It is.
Over time.
And of course, you have the Cape Cod Baseball League. The top collegiate players go there every summer.
That's right. But there actually are residents living on Cape Cod, of which Logan is one. Grinder. Brad Wilkerson comparison, a little bit shorter than Brad, but a lot of power, a lot of upside, average runner, average arm, average hit, and that's a good big leaguer if it projects that way. Looking for a school, very surprised he's not committed yet, but there's some surprises across the board of people who are uncommitted. Starting to get some interest now. It's been an overlooked situation, but I'm confident he's going to find his way into a good school and into professional baseball one day.
All right, let's do one more. Just looking at my list, how about Adam Placencia, Fresno, California? He also pitched at the National Combine, threw a couple of innings, had 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, him and Logan have come through this together. It's their third year. It might be Adam's 4th year.
Okay.
They've come through this together. They're pretty much inseparable as far as what we do with events here, and they're kind of similar. They're both left-handed outfielders that can hit. They're both pitch. They both do some of the same things. Adam's a little bit better runner. Logan's a little more physical when it comes to what they do. But with that in mind, Adam's a Ricky Leday for me. I mean, he's a good player, and I don't know what has gone on there where he hasn't had a chance to commit yet. He's had some opportunity. I think he's ended up on the West Coast somewhere, but it's also pro ball instincts and upside. One of the better, again, I keep saying this, I feel like I say this every player, but when you look at some of the rest of the players out there, the character on these kids is so great. It's been awesome to have them.
Of course, being a grinder and character, that's what eventually and essentially carries you through pro ball. So these kids have the right mindset and the right makeup, and they are well on their way, Daniel.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll hear from you guys for one final take here in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, and hear from other analysts that make up part of this Future Stars series, let's go to one more commercial break to hear from our sponsor.
One more disappointment added to the ones you left behind.
There he goes. On a second. Got him.
One is gone. 2-run shot for the whistle. This young man has the payoff is crushed. Love dreams, love schemes, touch land. But bury me.
All right, welcome back to the New Balance Future Stars Series Showcase Special as we recap the main event roster selections and about to unveil some of the other picks for the other series, Underclass Elite, Underclass Premier, and the Fresh 50. Before we do that, I do want to bring in a couple of more voices that make up the Future Stars series. First is lead writer Mike Ashmore. He's at a lot of these events. I'm sure you guys have seen him taking pictures, writing articles for the website. And the other guy you've heard on the radio, Jim Duquette, one of the lead baseball analysts for MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM. Let's hear from both of those guys right now and see what they think of this particular roster and what they think of this series moving forward.
Yeah, Daniel, the main event's going to be really awesome this year. Just looking at some of the talent that we had at the National Combine, especially that 4th day. I mean, I've covered, pretty much everything that we've done with the Future Stars series over the past 9 years, and we've never done anything like that. And to bring in some of the kids from USA Baseball who were there on that Thursday for that extended day, that's just going to make things a lot better. And it's the overall talent group as a whole. I mean, you look at guys like RJ Cope and Hunter Lynch and Landon Brown and guys who are just going to just show out when we get to Arlington, when we get to Frisco in a couple weeks here. It's just going to be outstanding. And just the whole 3.5 weeks down in Houston. I mean, that's a tough stretch, right? And just to have that level of talent to watch while we were down there for not just the 26s, but the 27s, the 28s, 29s, and have an idea of what these signature events are going to look like when we're moving forward here. And we get to Underclass Premier and Fresh 50 and Underclass Elite and all these great events that we put on every year. To know there's going to be that level of talent there moving forward, man, I genuinely cannot wait.
I guess I shouldn't be all that surprised. Anything that Jeremy Booth touches, tends to be turned to gold, over the years, though, just being a part of it like I have been and knowing him since 2019, just to see the growth in the quality of the talent each year get better and better. And the relationship that I think he and, everyone involved with the Future Stars Series events, the relationship with the players that just goes beyond the events itself, but carries on when they go on to college or junior college, or they go on to the pro ball, get into minor leagues, and actually get to the major leagues. Been able to witness that firsthand too. And I think that's the thing that for me sets them apart, sets us apart, sets, and really keeps that reputation is hard to build, and it's a slow build. But as you start to do that, you can see the fruits of that hard labor in those early years kind of come and manifest itself into what is this year, I think, the best roster that we've ever seen. And it's hard to say because we've had some really good ones, and some really quality players come through the Future Star Series events.
Thank you, Mike and Jim. Very good to hear from you guys. Interesting baseball perspectives as always. All right, now let's talk about the other rosters. I mentioned before, Underclass Elite, Underclass Premier, and Fresh 50. The last two rosters will be competing at Dunkin Park in Hartford, Connecticut in mid-September. Going to be some great baseball played up there. Let's roll through some of these rosters. Let's play the music, and you'll get to see all the names that are competing up at these great stadiums. Okay, you've seen the names, you've seen the rosters. Let's go back to Jason and Jeremy one final time for one final reaction to all of the stuff that we've shown you here today. Guys?
And Jeremy, the pool is very deep. That is my big takeaway from what we've been talking about and hearing your take on these players. As your Future Stars Series program continues to grow and develop, this class, this main event, I'm just in many ways speechless because of these players, not just how they perform, what's inside them, but also the future, what is coming down the pike for them. This class will be, I'm guessing it's going to be really special.
Yeah, this is our best event yet. And I say that looking at some pretty good players we've had.
Oh, yeah.
We started out in 2017 with clearly the jewels of that class for, as far as professional career, Bo Naylor and Grayson Rodriguez. And we go into 18, and we've got Kyron Paris and Drew Gilbert and Daniel Espino and some other guys that have started to kind of arrive as well as touch the big leagues. And then you go into 2019, and you've got Zach Veed, and you've got Dylan Cruz, and you've got Soderstrom, and you've got Tommy Troy. And that probably, at the time, was our best depth. But as you look back over 20 with Solomato and some of the other guys, Ryan Spikes and Braden Montgomery, you get to 21 and you've got Cole Phillips and you Luke Hill and you have an Ethan Fry who the Astros just took in the third round, Cam Collier in both of those events. And you go to 22 and you've got a Cooper Pratt and you've got Javi Torres and you've got a lot of guys that are show up in the draft. Now you start looking back on where the holes are. What could you have done better? What showed up? What were you like? What class that had what? And all these events went a lot deeper than you think when you go back and look at it. So to say that this class, and I will say that 2019 and 22 were markedly special across the board, to say that this class is our best, that's something they should all be proud of. You got some guys that, Cole Prosek, who was here with us last year in 2024, who picks up the phone. It was given some misdirection by somebody where he missed something he should have been.
Okay.
And he picks up the phone and he say, JB, I got to get to that national combine, man. How do I get there? And I said, you got to go talk to Brett Curl with USA Baseball and get your flight changed. And he did it.
Wow.
And he shows up. And instead of going home, he's getting off a plane here. Makes the East Coast Pro team as a afterthought. Shouldn't have been, but he was. He got back to the USA 40-man trials. But the desire to show, the compete with guys like that is part of that culture. And if you look at the depth of the rosters that we've had, as well as right now, it's my Future Star Series.
Nah, you're good, man.
But it's their Future Star Series.
Yeah.
And it's for them to go ahead and move ahead and compete to get themselves a future. Too often, there's people who interject themselves into these kids' futures that have no business being there or having moments in time where they impact. And we hope that they positively impact. We're not perfect. No one else is perfect either. But these kids have bought in. And despite all distractions, despite just, I don't want to say disgruntled.
Noise?
Yeah, noise, background noise.
Background noise.
Who don't want us who have a different agenda in mind. You have a group of players here who take setting the tone for the next group very seriously, and they represent the name on the front as well as the name on the back with an extreme intensity. The loyalty that I have seen from them, I don't deserve. I don't deserve it. I'm here for them. Yeah, I know I'm at the face and I'm at the front of it. I get it, but I tell them all the time, it's the people around us, the ones that are really here, that are being positive with it, all day in and day out, that aren't that background noise. Those are the ones making an impact. And the kids, to their credit, these young men, to their credit, they channel it and they push forward with it. This is their moment. And as we stay with them beyond Globe Life and beyond the other signature events, as we work through this organization, it's their moment in time. It's not me. They made it easy to pick them. There's not a player on this roster that was tough to pick. Matter of fact, they were so good, it was only about sorting them out. It wasn't about whether or not they belong. So I'm honored that they're here. I'm excited to see them step into the future ahead of the guys that they've had that have paved the way for them with this group. And it's going to be a fun event, man. It's going to be a fun series.
And if I may, you talk about a moment. Also, part of this moment is the new deal with Leaf Trading Cards. Tell us what that entails and why you decided now is the time for this type of product to come from the Future Stars series.
I've fought that for years. We talked about this. I fought the baseball card because I didn't want to get into something that was going to take away from on the field and be a little bit, I struggle sometimes with some things I really want to say. I know that, that's not who I really am at heart.
Okay.
But I struggle with some because I don't want to put anybody else down.
Yeah.
In my view, trading cards can be, for young players who haven't made it yet, can be the wrong message, in my view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I think there's a lot of people who feel that way.
Yeah, that said, it was time to have a partner where these kids could grow their brand. The series had reached a place where the consistency behind them afforded these guys this opportunity. And I was able to do it in a way where I don't have anything to do with their signature, which is something that has come up throughout other events and other people that are out there. is forcing these players in some way to sign their signature. And that's the real valuable part of the card. Card's valuable as it is, but the autograph card, as you know, someone who has been involved in baseball cards, is a bigger deal. I felt the players, if their signature had value, should own that money. I don't think that comes to me. It should go to them. We'll take the image. Yeah, we'll make a little bit of money on the card. Don't kid yourself. People buy it on the card. But when it comes to doing it that way, in the right time and place to allow players to maximize their brand, maximize their value, and I felt comfortable with the entry point because of who's gone before it.
Well, for all those people out there who are into what's called prospecting and collecting baseball cards, Jeremy has just given you a scouting report on the upside of all these players, Daniel. And some of these guys, that New Balance Future Stars Series trading card will be their first card and very valuable down the line. So it's been great to be a part of all of this and excited for the main event, Daniel.
Jason and Jeremy, thank you guys for all that awesome insight. And thank you all for watching at home. Congratulations to the players that made all 4 rosters. Can't wait to see you guys on the field wearing some pretty cool gear. I've seen some of those sneak peeks posted already online, and it's pretty cool. I think you're going to like it. So for Jeremy, Jason, Mike, Jim, and everybody behind the scenes that helped put this thing together, I'm Daniel Gotera. We hope you enjoyed watching this show because we enjoyed bringing it to you. So long, everybody. We'll see you down the road. Like I said, in Connecticut and in Arlington, here on YouTube, social media, wherever you catch the Future Stars series. We're excited about the future, and we hope you're there with us. Take care.